I'm Ferd. Welcome to my wood shop. Today I'm going to show you how to make this little clock. Little contemporary clock. I call it a Slat clock. But they're real easy to make. You can make one in a couple of hours. Doesn't take much material. You can actually probably find scraps laying around your shop that you could put one together with. Cost you maybe about $20–25 for all the parts to put the thing together. Real inexpensive. Finish it however you want. This one's blue with a silver dial. You can paint them, stain them, or just leave them plain wood. It's up to you. But let me show you how to make one of these. Okay, like at the beginning I was telling you that there's not much really involved in it. This is pretty much all the wood you need to put this thing together. I've already got everything cut out. I didn't want to bore you with watching me cut it, because it's all pretty much, you know, straight cuts, little squares and slats. Everything that I did here I done on the table saw. First thing I did was the dial, or your clock face, and the slats are all a ½ inch thick, so I planed all that down before I cut it out. 7½ by 7½. These are your slats. They're 15/16 wide is going to be the finished dimension, and they're like, I think these are 19 inches long. These you can make longer if you want to. I think it would look a little better if it was the first one that I made. I might make another one later on that's a little bit longer, but this is the size scrap that I had. These two little strips here, 1/4 inch thick. They're right now at about 7 inches wide. I'm going to use these later on to put across my slats. And these little pieces of wood are going to go on to the back of the clock face like that, to kind of frame it out and hold it out away from the slats. And then you need 4 of these. These are going to be your top and bottom bases. There's going to be 2 more. I've already got these cut out, which go, they're still taped together too, but they're going to set on top of that. But the next thing that you want to do is work on this piece right here. When you're cutting your bases out, if you've got a marking gauge like this one right here, it'll scribe a little groove along the height of your dado cut. Do it in the front and then flip it over, and then put another scribe in the back of it. And that way when you take your chisels to clean your insides out, you'll have a nice clean straight cut across the front and the back of it. Just a little tip. And also it's real important, do these first, and then we'll start working on these slats. You noticed there's 7 of them all together. I got 5 of them taped together, and what I'm going to do is cut me a dado about 3 inches down, and then about 6 inches down, and then I'm going to take these little strips of wood, space them out, and then glue them in there to hold them secure. And let me get started on that. I don't have an insert for my table saw for my dado blade, so I'm going to do this in several passes. But I'm going to set the height of the blade to the 1/4 inch. The thickness is this little piece that's going to go across the slats. And it looks like a pretty clean cut, but I'm just going to go ahead and clean it out just a little bit anyway. We'll start fitting the slats into our little grooves. Early on I was telling you I cut these just a little wide than what the plans called for, so I'm going to trim these down to where they're going to be 15/16 and fit pretty snug into my little dados that I put across my base. Okay, I got all my slats cut and they're all fitting pretty nice. They're not real snug. I mean, they just kind of slide in and out. And the next thing that we need to do is sand the inside of these slats. Okay, I got all my insides of the slats sanded. As you can see, you're not really going to be able to get to them to do any finish and sanding, so it's always a good idea to do that first. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just we'll put a little bit of glue on each one of these slats, and then I'm going to glue these cross braces into those dados. Don't really need to clamp it. We're just kind of holding these things in place. A little drop down in there should hold it pretty good. Before I took this apart, I numbered all the little slots and the slats that go down in them to kind of match them back up when I put it back together. These things you really don't need to sand down. They're going to be hidden behind the face of the clock. You can if you want to. It's kind of up to you. Just put a little glue on there and push them down in there. Kind of ooze it out a little bit and then wait and let it dry. Well, as you can see, I went ahead and I clamped this thing up. There was a couple of them that I wasn't too sure about, and it was just felt like the better thing to do. So if you feel like clamping it up, and it doesn't hurt. So now we'll get these off of here. Our glue should be good and dry by now. This stuff usually sets up in about 20 minutes. And we can take this part out. And we got that. So now, the next thing we're going to do, going to come down 1/4 of an inch from the top, and we're going to cut out these 3 inside slats on the top and the bottom, and then that's going to give us our opening through the back of the clock so we can change the batteries out or get to the works or whatever we need to do. And then also we can go ahead and clean up where it overlaps on the outside of these slats. I'll do that and I'll be right back. The insides of the slats can easily be cut out with either a scroll saw, a jigsaw, or a handheld coping saw. Well, at this point you can see that it's starting to take shape. We're going to put this part of it aside and start working on the face of the clock.